Hopefully everything looks dope.
Yeah, that shit.
Yeah. How about now? Shitty lighting.
Baby, it's Maybelline.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Well, welcome to the Nerd Pod.
Thanks for having me,
Yeah,
man.
of course. Yeah, I like turning meetings into just podcasts.
Yeah, this happened.
So, yeah. Let's see. Is there anything exciting we haven't talked about?
I don't know. I think in the last hour and 15 minutes we chatted about AI, personal ethics around business, and a bunch of other shit already within the last hour.
What's next in the kettle for Logan?
For me?
Yeah.
That's kind of a loaded question right now. I think this is like the first time in the last like 16 years that I'm trying to like not embrace hustle culture for a minute.
It's comforting to hear.
It's fucking weird. You know, I've always worked for myself. You know, I think I've had one job here in Missoula that like I was taking paycheck on when I was bartending for Kettle House a long time ago. Well, and then I worked for Badlander for a little bit doing their booking. But no, it's the first time in a long time that like I as an entrepreneur and especially working in like high stress environments like entertainment, there's always like every 6 months like an existential crisis where I'm like, fuck it, I can't do it anymore. I can't. No, fuck it.
Right.
And you know, especially sort of the direction that music industry is moving in, and artists have become so wildly expensive to book, and it's absolutely fucking insane, especially trying to do that when we live in a tertiary market like Missoula. Like, we're not fucking Chicago and New York. Like, right. I can't pay $250,000 for a festival artist. Like, that's more than most festivals around here fucking gross by a long shot. And so I'm kind of reassessing. For me right now, you know, I think, you know, you and I have touched base on it a little bit here and there, but I fucking hated school. Like, I did fine, you know, but I didn't enjoy it. Like, there was the rare teacher that, you know, could get me excited about something. And I got through, you know, I have my fucking college degree, blah, 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 bounced around a bunch of different fucking high schools because I left home really young. I never thought I would enjoy teaching. And it's been within the last handful of years that I found this like weird spark. And whether that's, you know, directly teaching students in school or just like helping young entrepreneurs. And it's a weird sort of place for me to be in because I don't consider myself, you know, some massively successful entrepreneur. I've just had so many missteps that I've learned from over the years, and that's what I want to teach people. Like, I've at least been able to, you know, sustain a really great lifestyle, and you know, I was able to buy a house at a young age and able to do things most of our generation feel that is so far off at this point. Like, the vast majority of people, you know, in their 20s and 30s might not ever be able to buy a home anymore. And so I've done well for myself, but I want to be able to teach young entrepreneurs about my missteps. And so whether that's consulting or you know, I teach at the university, I step in and do some guest speaking, and I teach at some entertainment clubs there. But I sit down with a lot of young entrepreneurs and just have coffee. And you know, my next path is kind of just, I think, trying to figure out how to do that at scale, like how I can at least try and spread the knowledge I've been able to gather so far.
Right.
You know, and again, I think you and I have touched base on some of this stuff. Like, I don't consider myself a master of anything.
Right.
I'm a master of nothing. Like, I'm just good at a lot of shit.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, I'm just a guy who knows a guy. Yeah. Like, that's all I am. Like, I'm you know, at the end of the day, I'm just a producer of sorts. Like, if you need something, I know the person, or I know at least 8 people, and then I can narrow that into scope with perspective on what you're looking for.
Right.
And you know, generally people have a lot of faith in me trying to make those connections for them. And you know, so whether that's still consulting or producing, I don't know. I have no fucking clue what's next right now. And I'm trying to sit in that for the first time in a long time, and like be okay with it. And it's fucking weird.
Yeah. No, I like that. I haven't heard that from you yet. I'm curious. What is that pointed towards me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. It's a new camera, we'll call it.
Slide a little bit so you don't get so much of that.
There we go. Cool.
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you. But yeah, so I mean, in entrepreneur life, I think we all know what we need to do to become successful.
Yeah.
But the only way people become successful is the failure and getting back up, right? The metaphor.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm hearing from you is that
Entirely.
there's a lot of, and myself included. That's why we are good friends, I think, because we have messed up a lot.
Oh yeah.
And we throw a bunch of shit at the wall and one or two things stick.
Yeah.
But we've thrown, thousands of poop on the
Millions
wall.
of poops.
Millions of poops on the walls, and now finally some are sticking. So,
Yeah.
what would be like a good example of something you threw at the wall, metaphorically, and stuck, and like how would that kind of in turn help you teach someone young, youthful, willing to listen, right? What would be like the first concept to kind of draw them in?
I think I'm going to come from a different perspective than you might be expecting on this thing. Yeah, I have failed such an ungodly amount of times, and I tell people that I'm a professional gambler, and like for the longest time, I think I just associated that with me working in the music industry. Like I've had so many amazing artists that I've worked with over the years, and shoot myself in the foot for bringing them maybe a little too early. And now I see the scale that they're at. Jack Harlow. Brought Jack Harlow here in 2018, 6 months before Just Poppin' came out. I got Jack for $1,500.
Oh, crazy.
Jack's, I don't know, maybe getting $500,000 now.
Yeah.
And Lizzo. I had Lizzo play the Badlander years ago for a bottle of whiskey.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And like, so I've had these weird like little hidden gems within my career that are some great successes again that I've learned from. But I've done so many of these amazing shows that end up losing money. And being an independent promoter, like it's again this gambling addiction of like lose, win. All right, there it is. It's coming back now, right? And like that keeps that sort of ball rolling. It's like, okay, I can do this. I'll figure it out. I think that's just become sort of this wild sort of addiction and metaphor for being an entrepreneur in general. I've done the music thing. I still do the music thing. I've had an art museum. I've had cannabis dispensaries. I've had so many art gallery. The Giggle Box during COVID, and for one reason or another, some of them work, some of them don't. COVID, it was 3 days later after, like, we opened our doors 3 days later, COVID hit Missoula, and, we went into fucking shutdown. And I was like,
and you had an entire Dillard's.
I had an entire fucking 20,000 square foot 2-story department store that I just fucking built out. And, so it's just part of the fucking game. But again, like you said, it's that silly metaphor of like, oh, we'll just get up again. Like some of the most successful people in the world, have failed so many fucking times, and then finally that one thing fucking moves forward and sticks. But I have this tendency to like you're kind of getting at, it's just like I've got a billion things I'm trying to make stick all at once, and I have this hard time focusing on that one fucking thing. But again, being a master of nothing, like I just have a tendency to do that, and I'm so interested in so many different things that if I had to focus on just one thing, I think I'd go fucking crazy.
Right.
But to circle back to your question, like I think like the one major thing, and takeaway that I've learned from is through all those failures and all those different successes, our community stayed loyal to me. And I think it's because I stayed loyal to them. And I think it gets back to this notion before you and I were recording, this aspect of loyalty, I think goes a lot farther than people realize. I've had different scales and capacities of employees that have worked for me or contractors that have worked for me. And the people that end up swimming to the surface and really being able to survive this sort of flow and hustle and work alongside me, I'm loyal to those people like through and through. Like I will you know, there are people in my life like I will fucking go to jail for.
Right.
Like this isn't just even in a work aspect. It's just like, if you're ride or die with me, you know, in a business partnership, in a friendship, in a relationship, whatever, like I've got your fucking back, you know? And I'm one of those people, like, we might not communicate for a long time, you know, but I can pick up with you wherever we left off.
Right.
And it's not going to change. Like, it's just life is fucking chaos. It gets in the way for all of us, whether that's having family or work or whatever.
Right.
And so if there's one thing that, like, I would teach young entrepreneurs, it's loyalty. And a lot of times that's still been a learning process. Like, I've put faith and trust in people that have fucking burned me hard. We all have, you know, but you have to get to this point as an entrepreneur where you're willing to surround yourself with people that are better at skill sets than you are personally. You know, like I sit in this weird fucking middle camp of like, I have a leg in the business world and a leg in the creative. I'm super fucking creative, but I don't know how to execute it. I have an idea, but I have to bring in people to actually make my concept come into fruition. Like I don't know how to actually execute it. I have a great understanding of business, but I surround myself with people that are much better at finance, much better at accounting, you know, are better at marketing. Because I know that like I have a good grasp of these things, but when it comes down to actual execution, I'm better off overseeing the process.
Right.
And so surrounding yourself with those people that you have faith and trust in is so fucking critical, and showing loyalty to those positions and giving a level of like autonomy, you know, autonomy, loyalty. Those are fucking big, and those have taken a long time for me to learn and figure out. Like, as an entrepreneur, like I want to micromanage and have my hand in every little piece,
Right.
but you end up burning yourself out. And if you give autonomy to somebody, it shows trust, faith, and loyalty, because you are telling them like, you know what you're doing, run it.
Right. Interesting. No, I love that concept, and I'm a testimonial to that. Right. I think you've brought in the most business as a referral to my business, which thank you, by the way. And I mean, that's, nobody does that. Nobody has, you know, nobody wants people to be more successful than them. Right. Besides, I feel like yourself, which is a extremely unique trait, which I'm glad that you said loyalty is like your mission statement through life. I think what's funny, I think I know the answer now has changed because you're more loyal to yourself, but do you think you've always been more loyal to other people than yourself, in the sense of...
So I guess I don't want to skew that concept too much. I know I'm ego driven. I think a lot of entrepreneurs are. And like, I'm very self-aware of the fact that like, you know, I was working on this position with the university. They had offered me an adjunct professor position. And then they ended up changing their sort of protocols and their needs and wants around it, and were requiring a master's. And, you know, I just have my bachelor's, but I'm like, who the fuck has their master's in entertainment management? That's not a fucking thing.
A porn director.
Yeah. And so part of me, out of like spite and ego, I'm like, you know what? Fuck them. I'm going to go get a PhD in this shit.
Oh, nice.
Like, I'm just going to design something around it and figure out a university online and just go get a PhD and be like, now you got to pay me triple.
Yeah.
And so
Did
like,
you?
No.
Nice.
No. Like, I'd have to go get my MBA and then, you know, move on to a PhD and all that shit. Like, but again, like, I don't necessarily need it. Like, you know, the things that I'd be learning in an MBA program from the people I've spoken to that have gone through it, they're like, you already have those skill sets. More than anything, it's about building resources at that point.
Right.
And for me, you know, like at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, I just want to be able to have to go to like family functions and they call me doctor.
Yeah.
And like,
that'd be sick.
Just like out of total fucking
just
spite.
A troll for...
Oh yeah, entirely. Like, I'm a troll through and through. And so, you know, while I say like I'm so loyal and put faith and trust into the people around me, at the end of the day, like, I, you know, especially now, like, I know I become more self-aware in the fact that like I'm an ego-driven person. And right now, where I'm at in life, I'm letting that again like settle in. I've done so much work with different nonprofits around the state and for other people and propping other people up, and like that gets me going, and that shows my commitment to my community and the people around me. But I'm just at this space right now where I'm saying no for the first time in life to a lot of things, and that feels fucking weird. Because I like solving people's problems. Like, I enjoy that. I like being a fixer, but for the first time, like I'm trying to fix a lot of my shit, and you know, focus on my mental health and my physical health and figure out my next steps. Like I joke, like I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Like I'm 36, and you know, this year I'll be 37, and like I had always planned on like retiring young. Like that was always the goal. Like I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday, like it's become so much more apparent, you know, in I think recent years that like we're not made to fucking work forever. And there's so many people around me that I love and care about that unfortunately, you know, might have to work forever. And I hope to fucking God I don't. But right now I'm sort of just like reassessing and, you know, this sort of, it's not like I fell off, you know, the first, you know, sort of metaphorical mountain of things that I've been trying to achieve, but I'm reassessing what that next mountain looks like. And it doesn't necessarily need to be ego driven, and I don't want it to be ego driven. You know, I'm trying to focus on, reestablishing, you know, those values and the things that I'm trying to achieve in life. You know I want financial stability. We all want fucking financial stability. We all want to be fucking healthy. I fucking hope so, at least. But I'm trying to reorient, you know, what my priorities in life right now. And that means me saying no to a lot of people.
No, I think that's what I kind of meant was like the loyalty of, you know, choosing you opposed to
entirely
them. And it sounds like you're now becoming wiser beyond your years, which I think
I'm still a fucking idiot.
I think, yeah, I think that's also being wise, is humbleness of knowing that, you know, you don't know everything.
Oh yeah.
I know me personally thought I knew literally everything.
Yeah.
But then realized, you know, ChatGPT knows everything. I don't know shit. So I humbled myself throughout the years. But no, that's awesome. I'm really glad you're going through like this, I'd say awakening period. It's
for sure.
really cool seeing your perspective of, you know, your tribulations and how you can have a positive spin to everything. And
I'm definitely a serial optimist.
Yeah.
but again, that's surrounding yourself with people that aren't.
Yeah.
You know, my CFO, my other business partner, like I have like 40 balloons in the air. I'm like, I want to do this one. They're like, Logan, hang on, pull it in. Pull that shit in. Yeah. And like I need those people around me. Otherwise I just fucking float away.
Right.
Because I don't want to do things that are this big.
Yeah.
Like I want to think the most grandiose, wild shit ever.
Yeah.
And like when I find those other people that like I've got a few people here in town that work like in very white collar industries, and you know, we have these similar conversations about just like weird shit that I want to do or just strange ideas, and these guys end up calling me at 2-3 in the morning with fucking wacky ass shit. Yeah. And I love that. Like I love that like I'm able to help maybe find other people find their spark of creativity that like maybe had gotten like muffled for a while.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're like, oh, that's a terrible term, but
catalyst for weird.
Yeah. I was gonna say fluffer, but keeping everyone.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah. This is not nerdy anymore.
You went from nerdy to dirty.
I love it. After hours.
Yeah, and if all else fails, you know, I'm just gonna start an OnlyFans or start selling feet pics, you know, to all the thirsty moms in my DMs.
Now that you're talking about retirement plan, I think you have to do that. You know, single dude, just no kids.
Oh, God.
Right?
Yeah, we'll see what the fuck happens.
That's awesome.
If I get too bored. You know.
Well, you know a marketer that can help, so. Good thing I don't have a feet fetish, but
Ayo.
That's awesome. So yeah. I guess that being said, I kind of want to learn more about, you know, who you actually are and like, where did this come from? Like, what was your childhood?
So let's figure out how to zoom through this part, because it's always a loaded question. Even when people are like, where are you from? Born in '88 in Jacksonville, Florida. All my family's Southern. Grew up in Parkland, Florida, which I'm sure anybody listening to this probably recalls that's where the big school shooting was. Mm-hmm. And grew up in Parkland, grew up in Texas. And then last place I moved with my family was Chicago. I was an angry kid, shitty student, depressed. I was I was an asshole. I am a motivation for me not to have children. Like, I don't want to deal with a small me. I was a fucking dick. Like, I'm the first person to admit that shit. You know, but I was an athlete, you know, played football, played lacrosse, snowboarded, baseball, you know, I was a really great athlete. And then, you know, all that angst growing up in outside of Chicago, like in this just sort of boring suburb, just started to get the better of me, and you know, just started getting in trouble. And final kind of straw, like I'd been kicked out of my house. I think I was 14 at the time, and you know, got in this argument with my pops, and kicked out / fucking ran away, wasn't allowed to go home type thing, just, you know, messy situation, and was sleeping on park benches, and you know, was essentially like fucking homeless for a little while. And it started getting cold, and tried stealing cars and breaking into cars to find some place warm to drive them to, and eventually ended up getting picked up by the cops. I'd ran from the cops many, many times before that, but this was like the most serious incident. And so ended up getting shipped to one of these programs, you know, these team programs that we've all heard about. Went on my own accord. Most of the kids that go there ended up getting court ordered, wrapped up in the middle of the fucking night, and you know, thrown in the back of a truck. So I was 15, ended up in West Virginia. I was there for a little over a year and a half. Most kids are there for 3 months. And went through some really, you know, the most difficult points in my life for sure. And you know, I think end of the day, a lot of people that came out of that program, you know, to this day, I'm still in contact with, you know, are kind of fucked in the head. The program has since been shut down for too many suicides happening. Like at night, you know, they would strip you of your clothes. You had to sleep naked under a fucking tarp in the middle of the fucking woods.
Damn.
Yeah, it was no fucking joke. But you know, I did pretty well throughout that program, besides a handful of fucking panic attacks. You know, and found out towards the end of the program I was never going home again. So I ended up going to Arizona, to an amazing and beautiful school down there in Sedona called Verde Valley, and made some, you know, beautiful friends from all around the globe, who I'm still in contact with, and you know, some of them we've done business together, you know, being in the same industry, things like that. And throughout that whole process, you know, even prior to leaving Chicago, my sort of love for music and creativity started to thrive. I was going to music festivals all the time. You know, in West Virginia, was playing a lot of Latin and African music, and then in Arizona was playing in the band there, and had an amazing music instructor named Zirk Bonner, who'd played you know, jazz at like a massive scale, and throughout that whole thing, like coming from this world of music and parties, and eventually when I got to school here in 2007, an opportunity arose with one of the friends from Arizona to host my first concert. I was playing in bands here and DJing, and then I was kind of off to the races from there. You know, I was 18, 19 years old, and you know, at the time made $1,000 on throwing Afro Man. That was my first concert I ever did in Missoula.
Oh, damn.
And I was hooked. You know, between performing and hosting shows. But you know, throughout that process, like there's one thing that I, you know, many things I learned from my dad. My dad is an awesome businessman. But I knew throughout watching my dad grind and hustle in corporate America for a long time, you know, and learning lessons of things that he would say, you know, along the lines of like working for yourself, not working for other people, stop making other people money, make yourself money, blah, blah, blah. That stuck with me for a really fucking long time. And I knew that I was not built to work a 9 to 5. I told myself that at a really fucking young age. And now I work far more hours than that. But the thing is, you know, outside of wanting to make change and impact, no one's in control of my time, you know, and I think that that's the most important aspect to me. You know, when I'm like, hey, do you want to go do this thing to a friend? They're like, I can't. I'd have to use some of my PTO. I'd have to do this, that, the other. Like, that's a driving force for me. Like, I never want anyone else to be in charge of my fucking time in life. Life is too fucking short, you know? And like, yeah, I work a fuckload. I'm tired. I'm currently burnt the fuck out. But at the end of the day, that's my own doing and not somebody else's. And I think that's been something that's been a huge thing for me, is like time, you know, like no one else controls what I can do in my life.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's become a fucking addiction at this point. Like, I still to this day can't imagine, you know, clocking in, clocking out for somebody else. I can't. That's just not me, and it never will be, you know, for better or for worse. But yeah, so came to college here, you know, started hosting shows, playing shows. And I think a lot of people, like, over the years don't realize that, you know, as a performer, started performing with a guy named Timothy Heitman. He's now working down at Montage, running the kitchen down there. He's an amazing fucking chef. But back then, like, I opened for the Wailers, Glitch Mob, Atmosphere, E-Prom, Prefuse 73, fucking an endless fucking list. Like, we were playing multiple shows a week, you know, between here and Bozeman and Butte. Like, I looked at one of our like calendars, like in my like meta, you know, Facebook memories the other day, and I was like, holy fuck, we used to play a shitload of shows. And it was a fucking blast. You know, we were, you know, playing on top of fucking mountains at Big Sky when there used to be giant, you know, festivals up there, you know, in the middle of winter, playing every venue here in town. We were one of the first electronic acts to play at the Top Hat back in the day, and we had a residency there. You know, Badlander Palace, Monk, Stage 112. And I've been blessed to, you know, either perform with or, you know, produce shows for some massive fucking artists. Like, we were talking about Jack Harlow, Lizzo, Odessa, you know, it's Grand Funk Railroad, REO Speedwagon. I was the first person to bring Billy Strings to Montana. You know, it's been a great fucking journey, you know, and seeing what the music industry's, you know, doing and evolving and changing. But yeah, I'm at this point where the process is changing, and I'm ready for doing some different shit.
Yeah, no, that's
sorry. I thought that'd be
amazing.
Short-winded.
No, that's I'm here for it. No, that's so cool. That's an amazing story. Probably the best I've heard. Definitely here. But that is so cool. I think so. You basically created your time freedom through music, right? And created a business while also being creative, which is a hard thing to do. Definitely. When you take the corporate route and you know, are restricted of creative, you know, stimulus, when also you can actually get paid too. So
right.
I think you did an amazing job, obviously doing all three buckets, but that's cool. I love that. I guess let's see what else is there to talk about. You're a hell of a water polo guy. That was pretty sick.
Yeah, the water poyos are doing pretty good this season.
That's sick. I know. Sorry, I bailed.
You're good. You're good.
Kids and my other hobbies.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's just trying to find those things. Like, rec sports has been a great fucking outlet as we become adults. Like, there's so few things like that to just connect, I think, with community and your peers that don't revolve around, you know, the bar scene.
Yeah.
Especially in this town being such a heavy drinking town and partying town. And like, it has its place by all means. Like, that's how I've made a fucking living for the last 16 years.
Right.
But I think a lot of people just assume because I'm in that space that I'm this big partier, and it's not the fucking reality at all.
Right.
Like, I'm a homebody.
Right.
I don't even like crowds.
Yeah. Right.
Unless I'm in charge of it.
That's ironic, huh?
Right. Yeah, finding those like weird little, you know, outlets, I think, are really, really crucial as we get older. You know, especially within rec sports, hold a really special place for me. You know, summertime, I play kickball. Fall, winter, I play water polo, and trying to do something fucking active, you know, outside of the gym that actually gets my body moving and doing sort of like functional movement shit.
Yeah.
Now I'm moving into pickleball.
Oh yeah. Oh nice. Okay, that's more my speed. I don't do water sports, but yeah, let's get some pickleball
Down.
Yeah. That's awesome. That, you know, I see sides of you that I'm like, whoa, that's cool, because it resembles a lot of me too, where it's like, you know, very competitive, you know, athlete, which, you know, I don't look like an athlete if you don't see me like with my shirt off, but just kidding. But, you know, like I remember like in college, they're like, why is this emo kid, you know, trying out for baseball?
Yeah.
And I hit a home run. They're like, oh shit, this emo kid can hit. Like, and I'm playing with, you know, these farm grown, cornbread motherfuckers. So it's just funny, like how you and me, I think our identity is like no identity. I don't know why I'm saying that weird, but the identity for us is like kind of the
chameleon shit.
I'd say chameleon, but also like I think it's our own path. Like we don't just like try to people please, but we want to be different.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we have such a good relationship. I think the stories are very, very similar, and our path is always very chaotic. Very fun time. I know, that's why it's like, dang, what else can we talk about? Every time we meet up, it's like 5 hours. So
I got nothing else to do.
I know. We're on shift.
I'm technically unemployed right now.
Hell yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you want to give me some money, talk to you about some shit.
Yeah, he's got beautiful feet.
We talk about your finances, marketing, and my feet.
Yeah. The 3 buckets. That's a Tony Robbins. Dude, that's now we're on to something.
Now we're on to something. Fucked up motivational speaking.
That's awesome. But yeah, thanks for being on. I think
buddy.
32 minutes. Don't want to, I mean, we could talk for 4 hours, but yeah, no, I love it. I don't want it to, loyalty's number 1. Number 2 is, you know, I think figuring out how to create that time freedom. And then obviously your teaching is very, I don't think it could be a curriculum, right? It's just basically a custom teaching module, or how would you do that?
And I think that's been the weird part about wanting to like start teaching is like, you know, I've hosted a couple, I called them Hustlers Anonymous. And like the first one I did, like 40 people showed up. And I'm like, what do you guys want to talk about?
Dude, that should be like a number you call when you're burnt out.
Yeah, straight up. But like we did that first one, and it was like, you know, I was like, do you guys want to talk about marketing? Do you want to talk about budgets? Do you want to talk about talent buying? And everybody always wants to talk about talent buying. Yeah. Like if there's anything around the ether of, you know, of an entertainment, they just want to talk about how to book artists.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest thing to teach. Like, because again, it comes back to this concept of like loyalty in relationships. Like, I can't just be like, here's the email address for such and such's agent. Like, you can email them. They're not going to respond to you. It's taken 16 years of, like, showing that their artists are going to get paid, even if I lost money on that show, you know, and building rapport.
Interesting.
I work with a lot of young promoters that are like, fuck, they're going to blacklist me from this agency. Like, they said I can't do this, work with them ever again. And it's like, that's a death sentence. You know, some of the biggest agencies, you know, William Morris, Wasserman, UTA, CAA. If you get blacklisted from one of those, I mean, that's potentially hundreds of artists off the docket you can never work with ever again. It's a death sentence as a promoter. And so how do you build rapport with people and then sort of get past this sort of barricade that, like, now when I reach out to an artist, I'm like, all right, we've never worked together. You don't know me. I've worked with other people in your office. Here's a list of a ton of people I've worked with as far as, you know, performers are concerned. And you get past this sort of litmus test. So that's why, like, teaching talent buying is so fucking hard. Because you're not really selling. You know, it gets to a point, at least initially, you're not selling the show. You're selling yourself. Yeah. They have to know that, like, they're going to get paid. Their artist is going to get paid. That you're going to do what you fucking say.
So you're teaching a personality, which is...
Essentially. So, like, you're really teaching sales. And, like, I don't know how to teach sales. Like, I know I'm good at it because I understand that, like, you're not actually selling a product. Like, I'm selling myself to somebody. Like, that is fucking...
A solution.
And I don't know how to teach that to people. Like, I've tried, and it's really fucking hard. Like, you either have that weird sales bug or you don't. Right. And it ends up, you know, transcribing over into so many different fucking areas of our lives that I've realized, you know, whether I'm selling a fucking show, selling this, selling that, the other, like, we're all selling in some fucking degree.
And it's so hard to teach it without seeming like cringy
and like, that's where I joke. Like, I joke, and we're like, oh, chameleons. Like, like, I feel slimy sometimes with that aspect of my life. But, like, if I have to go out, for example, like, doing festivals and shows and concerts now, like, it's not sustainable without sponsors. We live in a secondary market where we don't have massive corporate sponsors, and we have more nonprofits per capita than anywhere in the country. So if you were to go downtown right now and knock on the door of a downtown shop and be like, hey, I need a donation for this event I'm doing, they're like, cool, you're the 8th person today.
Right.
That's not an exaggeration.
And you're not a kid.
And you're not a kid.
Yeah.
You know, that's not an exaggeration. So how do you go about, you know, developing out those sponsorship contacts with different businesses? And so if I'm selling, you know, Pride, for example, like I have to pull in, you know, $150K in sponsorships before Pride, before it even fucking starts. I pitch Pride a little bit different than I might pitch Lager Days at the Jack Saloon.
Right.
Right? Like if I'm going to the Jack
crazy.
Saloon, I'm going to the axe companies, I'm going to the saw companies, I'm going to the tool repair companies, I'm going to the auto body shops. I'm probably going to put on my fucking Carhartts and my ball cap and not go in with my fucking bro hawk and my pink muscle shirt. It's a little bit different of a fucking pitch. And so like it feels slimy sometimes, but like down to like the most basic fucking aspect, like that's still selling yourself and who you are. And if they can mirror you in that point, like if they think you're, you know, are invested in their business as a, you know, as a community member, this and that, like that's kind of how it fucking works a bit.
Right. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like back to loyalty, they know that, you know, their main mission is to get paid, right, and have a good time. You do both of those extremely well.
And that's again like 101, at least when it comes to the sponsorship stuff. Like I want people going through their doors, and like one of the first things I tell them is like, I don't want to make money unless you make money first.
Right.
And like if you can get that point across and start to get out some sort of creative concept on their sponsorship, it's like, all right, then we're starting to fucking roll.
Yeah.
Sorry, we just got another tangent.
No, I know. No, I love this. I love that you're talking about loyalty too, just because I've been like, all my successful clients are they just have customer service. They don't even provide a better service. Yeah. And so, you know, even me as a marketing firm, I just supply better customer service. I think my websites perform the same as, you know, some other big marketers, but it's at the end of the day, they can actually text me. They can, you know, you're one of my clients and you can text me and say, hey, like update the menus. I'm like, all right, cool. So it's one of those like hilarious, simple things that nobody like actually understands. Yeah. Which I think if you became like the loyalty like guru, I've never heard that one, but we can market it. We can market the shit out of that. The Hustle Anonymous is amazing.
Yeah. Whether it's Hustlers Anonymous or some sort of fucking How do you get like a USDA stamp for loyalty on your business fucking window?
Oh, dude, you're onto something. You're giving too many secrets. Let's talk after hours. That's an amazing. I think place to stop. But thanks for coming in and hanging out. Anytime. Always a pleasure.
Anytime. Oh, man. Let's do it again.
Yeah, always.